Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's the Robot Bender. Welcome back. This week I thought we'd do something a little different and show off some of the custom maps we have that we picked up from the workshop. YPack has an excellent set. I'll actually have a playlist together for everyone to download all of these maps. Let's start with some of the basics. Now, the first couple maps I'm going to show is going to be stuff to modify your curtain layout. That would help you maybe adjust your crosshairs, or we can do player model adjustments, would make the items you have smaller, such as your hands, and change the placement of your weapons. So currently you can see I have a small red crosshair. But you can come over here and you have a whole selection. Some of them are pretty normal, and then you can get kind of weird with it. I really don't know anybody who would want to use that, but it's an option. And you can come over here, pick all kind of cool colors. We can go to like just cool purple. Okay, that got weird. So normally you would be able to add a dot. You can change the size of it. Make it wow. So yeah, this is if all you want to see is headshots. Life is a window. And we got to get rid of that. I've seen people play well with this one too. The main thing I look for in a crosshair is something that at both ranges can kind of absorb a head. So if you go with something that's a little too like center dots, I don't really like, because you go to put the dot on the head and it almost hides it. So when you're in a tight spot, like they're peeking a window, you might not see their head because you cross it in the way. So I like an opening in the middle. Even this one kind of different, but it leaves that opening in the middle so you can aim on the head. Now, if you go too small when they're further away, it's going to be harder to see. But with this, you can size bigger. You can go crazy with it. Full screen crosshair, which sounds ridiculous, but I guess for smokes and mollies it'd be beneficial. I definitely recommend a static crosshair. Once you get the concept of like when you're moving and when you're standing, your crosshair bouncing around really just messes up your aim. Now, like I said, I've been using the Circ crosshair. Which isn't terrible. Yeah, you got options. That's what I'm getting at. So you can change all that. Here's some of the classic ones from some of the legendary players. Alright, here's another cool map. You can do a lot of cool stuff with this one. I guess as far as fast aiming. Okay, we'll start up and kind of look at it. So you get the idea. Like it kind of helps you be able to address targets, and you have to react to them so fast, or it won't actually register you're hitting them. Shooting here puts you in a different spot on it, so you can practice different ranges. And then you have reflex training. You're gonna see me look pretty ridiculous here. So yeah, you got reflex training. I'm going on like 25 hours a week, so obviously it's not going to be the ideal. Burst training, intensive training. You can change how it pops up, the size of them, how many tries you get, how long they last. You can obviously go through all the weapons. Pretty common for most trainings, AK. Honestly, if you're going to train one rifle, I would really recommend the AK just because it is one shot to the head with armor. So really, it's the best gun to have some type of skill set with. Intensive fast. That sounds intense. So yeah, I mean, it's just a bunch of cool mini games, so it makes practice fun as opposed to just trying to load up constantly in casual, which I really never recommend, or competitive, where you might be damaging your elo or rank and attempting to learn how to play. So I mean, it's a tool to utilize, but no carpenter works with one tool. So let's go ahead and move on to the next map. Alright, as far as learning the specifics of the benefits and skill sets that are required of CSGO, recoil pattern is one of the number one things. So Call of Duty, generally your recoil pattern is going to be vertical and follow your crosshairs. But as you can look there, you can actually see it's not a straight up vertical line. So this is Recoil Master, another custom map you can use. And it actually shows you where the recoil pattern goes. And then if you come down here, if you follow the green dot perfectly, all of your shots will be perfectly centered. Obviously you're not going to do that, but it helps you kind of train the pattern as such. So like most people don't realize, in order to keep your target there, or your rounds going there, your crosshair ends up somewhere down here in a mess going back and forth. So like, that's the biggest difference between every other first-person shooter and something like CSGO. Whereas you see that recoil pattern. So you're not necessarily watching the crosshairs as much as you are where your rounds are landing. As opposed to... Let's see if the Goyo is still the same. So again, Goyo pattern is going to be completely different. It'll be down more aggressively and then zigzagged across at the bottom. Now, they didn't update the Goyo and it tightened up the recoil pattern. I honestly think as far as rifles go, for medium to short range, the Goyo has what's close to a submachine gun spray pattern. So it's very easy to manage. And with rifle damage, so it's definitely one of the better guns I recommend. Especially just starting out. Again, the AK has better armor pen. It's going to be one shot to the head, but if you don't think you're aiming for the head anyways, the Goyo is a great place to start. Recoil pattern, while we're talking about it. The disadvantage to the Goyo is you can see pretty consistent, everything stays about put, but you start adding in movement. And even though I'm still aiming about the same area, you can see random rounds going way left, way up, way down. So movement had a direct effect on your recoil pattern. It's even worse with the AK. If you move with the AK, rounds are just all over the place. So, but if you were to come over, slide, you can see the recoil. That second you have where you stop between switching directions and when you would fire. So that's strafing. That's a whole nother mechanic we can cover. But yeah, it just pretty fun to be able to try out all the recoil patterns, and it tells you the pattern. You can follow it. You can change the distance, set the targets away, use multiple targets, moving targets, reset. You can lock your movement in case you're just trying to work on your aim. You want to make sure you're coming from the same position each time. You can show impact, which is pretty beneficial. Show you where you're hitting. Yeah, just again another tool in the box to help you develop your skill set specifically geared towards CSGO. Because like many people have mentioned, this isn't a game like any other. One note on the submachine gun before we switch maps again. Let me just bring this wall in. Submachine guns are not affected by movement nearly as much, so it's pretty much the exact same spray pattern, whether you're moving, jumping, running. So as far as a hard push on a site or low eco, if you're trying to decide whether to buy a handgun or a submachine gun or maybe a shotgun, I generally pick submachine gun because it's going to give you a better chance when you're further away than a shotgun will. Because you still have to push sight. Once you get to sight, yeah, the shotgun would be more ideal. But until you hit that point, you need to be able to cover yourself. But yeah, just another helpful tool on this road to the best maps to training CSGO. Alright, YouTube. We got one more map to demonstrate. Now, I know I'm kind of rushing over these. I'm going to do actual separate video for each individual category to cover how you would actually use them to train and utilize. So if you see anything in particular you want to cover in more detail, let me know so I'll know where to start with the videos in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow. I'm also on Twitch, kinda. But yeah, this is probably one of the most beneficial tools I've seen so far. Because YPRAC has gone through great lengths to give you specific training for each type. So we can just practice smoke grenades, mollies, flash, just regular practice tools, which will kind of help if you have something specific you want to do that isn't covered in a predetermined course. Peak practice, pre-fire practice, demonstrate the grenades. So you see the crosshairs here, and then there'll be a marker on the ground to stand on. So you stand there, and it'll tell you if it's a stand throw or a run throw right there in the bottom middle screen. So everything lines up when you're in the right spot, and you just aim your crosshair and throw it. And then that would be a smoke if you were gonna push out the top mid behind the wagon. So when you're lining something up like this, yeah, obviously that's there, but in game it won't be. So you look at what's there you can refer to. So for me, I usually just kind of generally there and there. So you kind of eyeball, put it somewhere in the middle. You don't have to be too precise with a lot of smokes. You're usually pretty forgiving. And then this is really cool. You can type into the chat. So you can type in help, and it gets rid of the crosshairs and the markers, so you can see if you got it. And then for the next smoke, you type in next into the chat. So again, this one I should know. But let's say you forgot it or you didn't know it, you type in help again, and now it tells you stand there and aim there. So like for my lineup, I just kind of aim somewhere to the middle of this and the middle of this. And again, smokes are pretty forgiving. So I mean, it goes through all of them. It tells you pretty much every smoke there is on this map. The hardest thing sometimes is finding the circle mark. But let's say there's something you want to practice, like you're trying to make up your own smoke. You can go to practice tools. It loads you into the game. So let's say there's a smoke you want to try that nobody else has. So like that's not necessarily a strategic smoke, but that is a good smoke to have because now you can get into this corner and maybe peek palace, or you can peek site, and you got 15 seconds to do it. Maybe pop it a little higher with a run. And now that's smoked off. So yeah, you can get pretty creative with it and try to just figure out your own smokes. I mean, honestly, the practice smokes cover just about everything, but you end up in situations where knowing a particular smoke would be beneficial. I know I had one game where somebody would sit right freaking here every time, and you can't really push, and you can't count on a guy in palace to be able to take him out. So being able to just now he's blind, he's gonna fall back, and I can push the site either direction really. So yeah, it's got a lot of cool features. You can learn a lot about a map. Alright YouTube, I appreciate you stopping by. Go ahead and like, follow, hit that notification bell. Don't forget to comment what maps you like the most and what you'd like to see more of. Again, I'll be going more in depth on each specific map and covering how you would actually use them and utilize them in the most efficient way to build your skill base for specifically CSGO.